Hi there, I'm Anjali.
And I'm Adele.
And we're your friendly neighborhood Google certified digital marketing specialists.
Today we are here to help you understand what e-commerce tracking goals and conversions are, as well as the importance of setting it up properly and analyzing its results on Google Analytics and AdWords. At the end of our segment, you will also see how these areas of marketing can increase your sales and grow your potential and target customers.
So let's get to it. Let's talk about goals. So what are goals? Goals are actually the KPIs, or the key performance indicators, for your website. They are, in essence, your online business goals that help you determine the difference between success and failure. So back in 2013, HubSpot actually reported that 72% of business websites that they analyzed received a failing grade of 59 over 100 or lower. They cited a number of reasons for why websites fail, but essentially it all boiled down to one thing: undefined business objectives. Now, because they weren't setting up goals and using them to drive development and improvements on the site, these businesses ended up with really bad websites. So treat your website like you would treat your business. Set up clearly defined objectives and use those objectives to tell you how you can boost sales, build awareness, enhance customer experience, reduce costs, improve workflow, and help you grow your company. From a marketing point of view, your website goals should be aimed at attracting and engaging prospective customers, generating leads, and re-engaging existing customers. For websites whose main objectives revolve around marketing, their website goals should focus on generating more qualified leads, improving lead conversion rates, and increasing awareness. Now, for sales goals, these should actually revolve around validating and supporting your sales team communications and helping to close leads. This can be done by focusing your goals on, obviously, sales, improving sales conversion rates, and improving sales support. Ensuring that your site has readily available information on your services and products, like, say, for example, customer testimonials or reviews, good product brochures, and other supplementary information like case studies, are a great way to improve the 3 focus points that I mentioned earlier.
Conversions. What is a conversion? Conversion is an action taken by a website user that could lead or directly result to the ultimate objective of your business. It is basically a completed inquiry for brochure websites, a purchase for e-commerce websites, and any web form completion wherein a user submitted his or her information. Even an e-newsletter subscription and training pages or training registration, we also call that as a lead. And not just that, any action from a user that can push them further down into making a lead or purchase is considered as conversion. This includes catalog or PDF views, video plays, click to a map that shows the directions to your website to your office or store, and more. It's also an event that can be recorded and measured. And it is very important that these conversions are being tracked and analyzed regularly, as it enables us, the marketing team, to determine the strengths and weaknesses of the overall marketing efforts. It includes the PPC campaigns as well as the improvements that your website may need. So in short, conversions, it is an indicator of every marketer's success. Micro goals and conversions. As I mentioned in the definition of conversions, the micro goals and conversions are the ones that are few steps away from lead and sales conversions. So micro goals are the page or PDF views, number of times the page was printed, RSS feeds, social sharing, and even incomplete purchases and web form completions. So we can describe micro goals as potential sales. It is very important to measure and analyze these events to learn the full potential of the web visitor's behavioral data. moreover, the average conversion rate is assumed to be about 1 to 3% of e-commerce websites. So not measuring your micro conversions also means you're missing out on what your visitors are doing on your website and finding out why they are not converting. Take note that we are talking about an estimate of 98% of your website visitors here. Next, macro goals and conversions. Achieving a macro goal or conversion is the primary objective of our marketing efforts. This is often called as end goals because it's the bottom line of your business. For e-commerce, these are the revenue or transactions. For lead generation websites, it's the form submissions and phone calls. Account registrations or sign-ups and e-newsletter subscriptions are also counted here.
Moving on to analytics goals. Analytics goals measure how well your site or your app fulfills your target objectives. As Adele mentioned earlier, they represent a completed activity known as a conversion that contributes to the success of your business. Analytics goals tells Google what things are critical to your website in order to ensure success. Now, here are examples of analytics goals that we set up for our clients. Much like what Adele mentioned quite recently, goals are very similar to AdWords conversions. They come in the form of leads, trial signups, account creations, newsletter signups, white paper downloads, and ebook downloads. Now, there are actually 5 analytics goal types within the interface once you go in and check them out. They are destination, duration, pages or screens per session, event, and smart goals. Now, a destination goal keeps track of specific URLs or pages, and the goal is actually triggered when someone views the page, like say a thank you page or a confirmation page. Now, when a user lands on a thank you page after filling out the form, Google then automatically records that as a goal completion. Moving on, duration goals keep track of how many people stay on your site for a certain amount of time. And these are actually useful for measuring level of interest or engagement. Now, pages or screens per session is similar to duration goals, but instead of tracking the time, they track the number of pages before each visitor leaves your site. Now, event goals are used to measure specific actions that don't involve thank you pages. These are add to cart clicks, read more clicks, external link clicks and downloads, video interactions, social media button clicks, whatever you can think of. You can probably, if it doesn't have a thank you page, you can probably track it with an event. Now let's move on to SMART goals, and this is actually really important. SMART goals may seem easy, but don't be fooled. SMART goals harness aggregated conversion data from Google Analytics enabled sites that don't have another way to track or optimize for conversions. They're essentially, the data you get from SMART goals is Google generated data that uses your website's best visits as conversions. Now, Google actually released this feature for visitors or small-time advertisers who don't have enough conversions to use AdWords optimization tools that require a certain number of conversions before you can use them. But they don't actually measure specific actions taken on an advertiser's website. Instead, they use anonymous conversion data from other websites that use Google Analytics to identify visits that are most likely to convert based on Google's model. Sounds confusing and a bit vague. Don't worry, it is. So don't ever use these. We wouldn't recommend them because the data collected from SMART goals doesn't provide your business with anything valuable. Instead, enabling SMART goals and using those conversions for your AdWords advertising is basically putting you're targeting on autopilot and letting Google spend your $1,000 budget as they please without you having any say. So don't use them. It's better to use the previous 4 because you're actually getting real data from your websites, from real customers.
Next is AdWords conversions. It happens when someone clicks on your ad and then takes an action that is valuable to your business. These actions are the conversions I just talked about in the first few slides. So an example is if someone clicks on your text or banner ad and then the user eventually makes a purchase from your website or downloads your app, regardless if it's not the product that is being promoted on the ad. Tracking AdWords conversions is vital in PPC campaigns. Aside from understanding and measuring the ROI, it also gives a lot of opportunities for improvements, which are learning the keywords, ad groups, and campaigns that drive customer engagement, learning the insights concerning PPC spending, determining the best way to optimize campaigns accordingly, and seeing how many customers interact with your ads and which device or browser they are using. There are 4 types of AdWords conversions. First is website. It is used to track purchases, sign-ups, and other forms of submissions. App installs and in-app actions. It is used to track installs of Android or iOS apps, as well as the activities that occurred within the app itself. Phone calls. It is used to track calls that came directly from the ads or the ad extensions, calls to a phone on your website, and clicks to a phone number from your mobile website. Lastly is import. Sorry. It is used to track customer activities that begin online but finished offline, such as when a customer clicks on your ad, downloads a brochure, and later buys the product in your physical store.
So moving on to goals versus conversions. At this point, you might be a little confused, but that's okay. Just keep in mind that AdWords conversions can't be made into or imported as analytics goals, but analytics goals can be imported as AdWords conversions. So if you go into the AdWords interface, click on Tools, and then Conversions, you can actually see it on the sidebar. It'll say Analytics, and you can import whatever goals you set up on Analytics into AdWords conversions. So conversions, keep in mind that conversions are always a goal. And it's always good practice to set up both analytics goals and AdWords conversions within AdWords. So for e-commerce tracking actually allows website owners to collect and analyze shopping data. And it's only through analytics e-commerce tracking that you can correlate your sales data with usage data like sessions, bounce rate, traffic sources, mediums, landing pages, and more. Setting up e-commerce is a multi-step process. However, and for proper implementation, you'll need to reach out to a developer to help you make updates to your product page codes. So it's a bit complicated to set up e-commerce tracking. So there's a switch within analytics that you have to enable, but that's just part of the process. You also have to actually talk to a developer so that they can set up the specific tracking codes and embed them within each product page. So when enabled, however, Google gives you access to special reports that give you the following data: conversion rates, number of transactions, total revenue, average order value, number of unique purchases, quantity of products sold, quantity of each product sold, revenue by product, average price of products, and performance by date, date to transaction, and visits to transaction. There are actually 2 types of e-commerce tracking. So you have the older traditional e-commerce tracking and the enhanced e-commerce tracking. The difference between the two is that traditional e-commerce tracking helps you analyze product performance based on quantity sold and revenue. Meanwhile, enhanced e-commerce tracking puts focus on the pre-purchase shopping behavior of users and actual product performance. With enhanced e-commerce tracking, you get additional reports such as shopping analysis for product performance, sales performance, product list performance, and then you also have marketing reports. So that's it for goals, conversions, and e-commerce. Stick around for the third segment of this webinar. We hope you learned something. Bye!